There are over 3.5 million truck drivers in America. They spend their lives on the road, alone, in the dark, covering thousands of miles of empty highway while the rest of the country sleeps. Most of them have a story they don't tell, not because it isn't true, but because nobody ever believes them. This is James Kowalski's story, and after you hear it, you'll never look at a truck stop the same way again. It was February 2019. James was a long-haul trucker out of Columbus, Ohio. 15 years on the road. He'd driven every major interstate in the country, through blizzards, through floods, through nights so dark the headlights barely scratched the surface. He thought he'd seen everything the road could throw at him. He was wrong. His route that night was a simple one. Interstate 70 westbound through Kansas. Flat land, empty highway. Nothing but wind and white lines for 300 miles. He left the truck stop at Salina around 11 p.m. Full tank, hot coffee, and a clear sky overhead. By midnight, the sky had disappeared. A fog had rolled in from nowhere, thick and low, the kind that swallows headlights whole. James slowed down and turned on his hazards. That's when he noticed the car. It was a dark sedan, no plates visible, driving maybe 50 feet ahead of him at exactly the same speed. James thought nothing of it at first. Late night highway, someone just cruising. But 20 minutes later, the car was still there. Same distance, same speed. Like it was tied to his front bumper with an invisible rope. James sped up. The car sped up. James slowed down. The car slowed down. He grabbed his CB radio and called out to any other drivers in the area. Static. Nothing but static. He tried his phone. No signal. James was completely alone on I-70. In a fog he couldn't see through. Following a car that seemed to know his every move. Then, the car stopped. Right in the middle of the highway. No brake lights, no hazards, it just stopped. James hit his brakes hard. 40,000 pounds of steel screaming to a halt on wet asphalt. He stopped maybe 30 feet behind the sedan. He sat there, engine idling, wipers cutting through the fog. Nothing moved. After 2 full minutes, the driver's door of the sedan opened. A man stepped out, tall, dark jacket. He stood beside his car and turned to face James's headlights. James couldn't see his face clearly through the fog, but he could see the man wasn't moving toward him. He was just standing there, staring into the headlights. James leaned on his horn. The man didn't flinch, didn't move, didn't react at all. James grabbed his flashlight from the door pocket and opened his window. "Hey, you all right out there?" The man slowly raised one hand and pointed. Not at James, not at the truck. He pointed straight up. James looked up instinctively through his windshield. There was nothing there but fog and darkness. When he looked back down, the man was gone, the car was gone, the road ahead was completely empty. James sat there for 10 full minutes before he moved. His hands wouldn't stop shaking, his coffee had gone cold. He finally put the truck in gear and crept forward slowly, expecting to find the car in the ditch or the man lying on the road, and there was nothing. No tire tracks veering off the highway, no skid marks, no broken guardrail. It was as if the car and the man had simply evaporated into the fog. James made it to the next truck stop, Hays, Kansas, around 2 a.m. He was so shaken he called his dispatcher and told him he needed to stop for the night. He didn't tell anyone what he'd seen. Not yet. The next morning, He was eating breakfast at the truck stop diner when he overheard two state troopers talking at the counter. They were discussing an accident report from the night before on I-70 westbound near mile marker 319. A dark sedan had been found abandoned in the middle of the highway at approximately midnight. No driver, no passengers, engine still running, no signs of struggle. The troopers said it wasn't the first time. According to one of them, it was the fourth abandoned vehicle found at that exact mile marker in the past 18 months. None of the drivers were ever found. So what happened on I-70 that night? Law enforcement officially classified it as an abandoned vehicle incident. No crime, no suspects, no leads. But criminologists and behavioral psychologists who study highway disappearances point to something deeply disturbing. A pattern: isolated highways, dense fog, single vehicles stopping traffic, a lone figure drawing attention upward, away from what's happening around the vehicle. It's a technique known in criminal psychology as a distraction lure. Someone or a group uses a staged breakdown to stop a lone driver. While the target is distracted, looking up, looking away, others move in from the sides. The fog wasn't an accident. The timing wasn't a coincidence. And James Kowalski, with his 40,000 pounds of steel and his quick instinct to stay in his cab, was probably the only reason he's alive to tell this story today. Mile marker 319 on I-70 still sits in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. Trucks pass it every night. Most drivers don't even notice it, but a few of them, the ones who've been driving long enough, they slow down just a little when they pass it. They keep their windows up, their doors locked, and they never, ever gonna stop for a car in the fog. If you drive, remember this story. And if you ever see someone standing alone on a dark highway in the middle of the night, pointing up at nothing, keep driving. You're watching The Dark File. Subscribe for new cases every week, and leave your story in the comments, because some of the scariest things happen on the road.